She comes walking out of the other room and had rubbed her neck red, rubbed it red, and told the police officer that I had tried to strangle her.
That
Well,
is serious
that
right there.
dude, that's a felony. I've never touched her. I've never touched a woman in my life.
Have you ever felt like you're being emotionally manipulated? Something just doesn't feel right in the relationship, but you just can't put your finger on it? Well, today we are going to dive into the world of covert narcissism. It's a subtle but dangerous type of manipulation. We're also going to hear firsthand from John because that's exactly what he experienced for years. So, what does covert narcissism look like? Well, they can be passive aggressive, have this quiet arrogance about them, chronic victim mentality, hypersensitive to criticism. You can never even say anything about them without them. Well, we'll let John tell you.
Right.
Manipulation through guilt, social withdrawal and introvert, resentment, envy, and like we said, always playing the victim, super jealous, insecure, and always seeking attention. So
That's
tell them about our.
Melissa's absolutely right. I dealt with this for years. And probably the worst thing for me was just the manipulation. Not knowing I was being manipulated as badly as I was until after it was over. And I really started to understand what was going on in my life for so many years.
Didn't she continuously ruin your events?
Oh, gosh. Every event that I had was somehow ruined. And it seemed like it was unintentional, but it was very, very intentional. One of the biggest events of my life that she ruined, it was my 20th year high school reunion. I was so excited about this event. I really, because I loved my friends from high school. And I really was looking so forward to seeing some of these people. It was a massive event. And I ended up being 2 hours late. And it was because of her. And ruining the time that I had gotten there. And the whole time there, it was just all this drama, all this toxicity. So by the time I actually showed up at my event,
You were probably a mess.
I was a mess. I was a mess. And I should have gone by myself. I should have just left knowing that she was purposely holding me up. I should have just left.
And they do this because they are secretly very insecure, but they come off as if they are secure. So by her manipulating you and making you late for this event, she did not want one, you getting attention from everyone else, and her feeling insecure and maybe awkward, especially when she had that superiority attitude about her. What about that time when you actually met friends after church? It was it was a friend from church that was on the volunteer committee with you or something.
yeah. It was
Idled her
a
with
girlfriend of
friends.
mine. Right. We're just friends. We've been friends for a long, long time. And my ex-narc had never met her. So my parents are there, my brother, my ex-narc, and then this girl who was a great friend of ours. I said, hey, why don't you meet us for brunch? And the whole time I wasn't aware, but my ex-narc is staring daggers at this woman the whole time. And she thought of her as a threat. And
When she was a family
she was
friend
a
from
family friend. My parents knew her. The whole thing. It
for
was just,
years.
and so it was so ironic that after the event, this friend called me and said, "Don't ever invite me to any event with your." She was my wife at the time. She stared dagger the whole time, made me so uncomfortable. I will never. And I had no idea.
Well, and it was the first time they met, so
Yeah.
it wasn't even like she had heard about this person or there were any indication that this person meant something to you
Right.
other than just running into her at church.
And it wasn't like she was a girlfriend. We'd never dated. It wasn't anything like that. It was just a good friend. So it was just really, really unbelievable. But let me tell you, the thing that I remember most is she could cry
Oh my
at the drop of a hat. And men, if you're in an argument with a woman and she starts to cry, what do? You put the brakes on. You put the brakes on. What can I do to make you stop crying? So when you're in kind of a discussion and it gets heated, which happens, or you're making your point, improving your point, or trying to prove your point, and the person you're arguing with just starts crying right in front of you, you immediately stop. So there's no resolution to the issue. You immediately stop. You try to pacify them, help them to stop crying, and then the event or the issue never gets resolved. And that happened over and over and over again.
And you felt guilty about pushing her to that.
Right.
So like you said, it got swept under the rug.
Yeah.
And rather than have her become just this emotional mess, you just ignored things.
Right.
And that's when things fester. And that's when relationships end, because you can't talk to this person. You can't have that conversation.
You can't work through issues. You just can't work through issues.
No, and then she had this subtle rage about her too, where she
Oh, yeah.
would just absolutely.
Go on.
Some of these things were scary.
Yeah, I mean, breaking furniture, or kicking through doors, and but then all of a sudden blaming it on something else. The meds were wrong, or I shouldn't have mixed alcohol with these meds. I would have never done this. And so,
Always an excuse. We have clients that have gone through this and just major rage issues out of nowhere. And it can turn very violent very fast. But I want you to tell them about that one time that she almost got you arrested.
yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yes.
So I was about to share. This is probably the worst thing. Unbelievable. We were having an argument on the way home from a restaurant, and she had too much to drink, and she said she was on these meds, so it was really making her unstable. She was already relatively unstable, but this was even worse. So we got in a really big fight, and so I just wanted to. Sometimes when I'm in the middle of an argument like this, I just want to leave and let things cool down. So I went into the master bedroom, and I actually locked the door because I wanted some space. And I locked the door. Well, I was sitting in the master bedroom, and her foot comes through the door. Now, this wasn't a hollow core door. This was a mahogany type door that she kicked through. It repeatedly went through, and her foot finally came through. That's massive
Rage
rage
right there.
And these are in the days of a landline. So I picked up the phone and I called 911 because I'm like, I don't know what this woman's capable of at this point. And I immediately hung up because I'm like, I don't want the police involved. But you know what happens when you call 911 and you hang up?
Yep.
They call you right back.
Or they show up.
Or they showed up. So I said, listen, you don't need to go. Well, I tried to tell them you don't need to come. It's just a dispute. And they came anyway. Well, I knew the police were coming, which was embarrassing for me in this really nice neighborhood I lived in. And this had never happened to me before. The police are in my driveway. So, of course, I let them in the house. And I'm sitting there calmly. And I had invited my brother, who lived in the neighborhood, to be there when the police showed up because I didn't know what she was capable of.
Especially how the character witness.
Right. But listen to this. So I'm telling him, we just had an argument. Everything's fine. She comes walking out of the other room and had rubbed her neck red. Rubbed it red. And told the police officer that I had tried to strangle her.
That is serious right there.
Dude, that's a felony. I mean, that could have been a lot of huge problems for me. I've never touched her. I've never touched a woman in my life. I was mortified. And my brother, thank God he was there because he went ballistic. He knew that was a lie. And I think the police officer realized it too.
All right.
And so he eventually said, no, listen, one of you two are going to have to leave tonight. And so I left. I went and stayed at my parents' house, which they were also in the community. But, and they were out of the country. So
It's sad that you have to leave.
yeah, I had to leave my own house.
Because it was your house.
Yeah. And so,
Not hers.
but can you imagine someone that you're married with trying to have you arrested for, I mean, that's how bad she wanted to win this disagreement. And then, of course, the next day, the apologies didn't stop for hours. Crying and the apologies, please take me back, the whole thing. So it was really, really disturbing. But this happened 20 years ago. I had no idea what I was dealing with. We didn't know what this was.
He actually thought it was possibly the alcohol and the drugs and
some chemical imbalance or something.
Thinking you could get her help and actually have her fixed somehow by medical.
I wish I had known then what I know now.
Yeah.
But so let's talk about if you're dealing with this, a covert narcissist.
Yeah, I'll tell you a couple ways.
Yeah, let's talk about how to deal with that.
One, you have to set boundaries and enforce them firmly, because when you let them continually step over your boundaries and then you're the one trying to defend or deflect, it becomes exhausting, and they will do it if you let them. Don't engage in their guilt tripping or victim narratives. Like she would do with you, bawl her eyes out, then all of a sudden you're consoling her when she was the one who did harm to you.
Right.
It totally shifted the blame to where she's the victim and now he is the aggressor when it was exactly the opposite. Stay away from that trap.
Right.
Limit emotional exposure because they feed off of your reactions. Seek external validation. Thank goodness you had your brother there and that you are
Yeah.
really close
Yeah.
because he witnessed the interaction between you. He knew who you were before you met her, and then obviously what had happened while you guys were together. So, and honestly, if you're dealing with this and you don't know how to get out, you could be trauma bonded. But seeking professional help, or obviously you could even book a call with either one of us since we've been through it, so we know what it feels like to feel so trapped that you think you are just stuck in this life. You're not stuck in this life, and we can help you get out of it.
Right.
So definitely take advantage of that. Put your comments below. We love
Yeah,
hearing
please.
from you. Like John said, if you haven't subscribed, please do like this video and hit that notification bell because we come out with a podcast every single week. And it's always about trying to help you with situations regarding narcissistic abuse. So thank you for following us, and we'll see you on the next podcast.